Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Relax, bro, it's just a joke.
You just made the worst mistake of your life.
This single moment, broadcast live to 23,000 viewers, would cost Tyler Brennan everything. Within 72 hours, he'd be dead in an Arizona warehouse. His father would lose $600,000 and 6 hired contractors. The 26-year-old influencer stood grinning at his phone screen, watching comments flood in, completely unaware that the man in the pressed white shirt was Rodrigo Salazar, a Jalisco New Generation Cartel coordinator who managed $40 million monthly and answered to people who disappeared families for far less than public humiliation. Tyler's camera had just recorded his own death warrant. The live view counter climbed. The comments exploded with warnings he'd never read, and Rodrigo's expression never changed. Calm, measured, already calculating not punishment, but logistics. Tyler thought he was filming content, but he had no idea he was already dead. He just hadn't stopped breathing yet. The afternoon sun beat down on Guadalajara's Colonia Providencia district, where luxury vehicles lined the streets outside upscale restaurants and boutiques. Tyler Brennan, 26 years old with a phone perpetually in his hand, stumbled along the sidewalk with the confident swagger of someone who'd never faced real consequences. His live stream was already active. 340,000 followers received notifications the moment he went live. Comments flooded the screen as Tyler narrated his approach to a gleaming black Escalade with Sinaloa plates parked outside an expensive steakhouse. "Watch this, guys! Peak content incoming!" His friend stood across the street, filming from a second angle. Tyler unzipped his pants and began urinating directly onto the driver's side door, laughing as the stream splashed against the pristine black paint. The live view counter climbed rapidly. 23,000 people were watching in real time. The restaurant door opened. Rodrigo Salazar emerged mid-conversation on his phone, dressed simply in a pressed white shirt and dark jeans. At 40 years old, he carried himself with the quiet authority of someone who didn't need to announce his importance. His boots clicked against the pavement as he stopped, phone lowering slowly from his ear. His eyes locked onto Tyler. Tyler glanced over his shoulder, still urinating, and grinned. "Yo, bro, relax. It's just a prank." Rodrigo's expression remained perfectly neutral. Behind him, 2 men in similar attire stepped out of the restaurant, their movements synchronized and deliberate. They flanked Rodrigo without speaking, hands resting casually near their waistbands. Tyler finished and zipped up, still holding his phone toward the camera. The comment section exploded with warnings, but he ignored them. "You want me to Venmo you for a car wash or something?" Rodrigo walked slowly forward. His voice, when he spoke, was conversational and calm. "Turn off the phone." Tyler's grin widened. "Nah, bro. My followers are loving this." One of Rodrigo's associates moved with practiced speed, snatching the phone from Tyler's grip. The live stream cut to black. 23,000 viewers saw nothing but a frozen screen. Tyler's bravado cracked instantly. "Hey, give that back!" Rodrigo stepped closer, his voice dropping to just above a whisper. "You just urinated on my vehicle. On camera. In my city." The color drained from Tyler's face as one of the men opened the Escalade's rear door. It wasn't a request. The Escalade's interior smelled of leather and cologne. Tyler sat in the back seat between the 2 silent men, his hands shaking uncontrollably as Rodrigo drove through Guadalajara's afternoon traffic with the calm precision of someone running a routine errand. Nobody spoke. 6 blocks from the restaurant, they pulled into a dim parking garage beneath a commercial building. The engine cut off. Rodrigo turned in his seat, finally looking directly at Tyler. "Your father. What does he do?" Tyler's voice cracked. He's in tech, software development." "How much is he worth?" I don't I don't know exactly. One of the men beside Tyler shifted slightly. The movement was minimal but effective. A lot, Tyler blurted. He's worth a lot. Please, I didn't mean anything. I was just making content. I'll delete everything. Rodrigo pulled out his phone and made 2 calls in rapid Spanish. Tyler caught fragments. Numbers, accounts, timelines. When Rodrigo finished, he handed Tyler his phone back. Call your father. Tell him you made a serious mistake. Tell him to wire $500,000 to an account I will provide within 1 hour. If the money arrives, you leave Guadalajara tonight and never return. If it doesn't arrive, you don't leave at all. Tyler's hands trembled so badly, he nearly dropped the phone twice before successfully dialing. Mark Brennan answered on the second ring, his voice sharp with irritation. Tyler? Where the hell have you been? Your stream cut off. Dad! Tyler's voice broke completely. Dad, I need help. I need $500,000 right now. 47 minutes later, Rodrigo's phone chimed. He checked the screen, verified the transfer, and nodded once. You're free to go. Remember what I said. Tyler stumbled from the garage into blinding sunlight. His friend was waiting in their rental car 3 blocks away, having tracked Tyler's location through a shared app. They drove directly to their hotel, threw everything into suitcases without folding a single item, and headed toward the airport. Tyler sat in the passenger seat, still shaking but alive. The $500,000 was nothing to his father, a rounding error in quarterly reports. It was over. Except it wasn't. Mark Brennan stood in his Colorado estate's home office, staring at his computer screen with a rage that made his hands clench into fists. $500,000. Gone. Transferred to some account in Mexico because his son had been foolish enough to get caught by what Mark dismissed as some Mexican thug. He'd built a $180 million fortune by never accepting losses, by never allowing anyone to take what was his without consequences. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found the number for Titan Security Solutions, a private military contractor firm based in Mexico City. He'd used them twice before for corporate security during business acquisitions south of the border. They were discreet, effective, and staffed primarily by former Special Operations personnel. The phone rang twice before a crisp voice answered. Titan Security. How can we assist you? This is Mark Brennan. I need an immediate extraction and asset recovery operation in Guadalajara. 6-man team, full tactical package. Timeline is 48 hours maximum. There was a pause. Can you provide details on the situation? My son was extorted by cartel members. $500,000 was taken. I want it back, and I want the men who took it to understand that Americans don't kneel to criminals. Another pause, longer this time. Mr. Brennan, operations involving cartel elements carry significant risk. I'm aware. Your fee is $1.2 million, regardless of outcome. Half up front, half on completion. Are you interested or not? We'll have a team assembled within 6 hours. Mark ended the call and immediately initiated the wire transfer. His son was safe in Phoenix now, hiding in a friend's apartment. But that wasn't enough. The principle mattered. Respect mattered. Nobody took from Mark Brennan without paying for it. In Guadalajara, Rodrigo Salazar received a call at 9:15 that evening. The voice on the other end belonged to a cartel intelligence coordinator who monitored law enforcement and private security movements throughout Jalisco. We have 6 Americans, former military contractors. They landed 2 hours ago, rented 2 vehicles, checked into a hotel in Zapopan. Equipment manifest includes tactical gear and encrypted communications. Rodrigo listened without interrupting. Who sent them? We're working on confirmation, but the timing matches the American from this afternoon. Rodrigo ended the call and immediately dialed his direct superior within CJNG's command structure. The conversation lasted less than 3 minutes. When it ended, the decision was final. This was no longer about $500,000. This was about territorial respect and organizational authority. The message needed to be clear. C. Derek Holt reviewed the tactical plan one final time in the hotel room his team had converted into a temporary operations center. Satellite photos covered the desk alongside printed surveillance reports. At 43, Holt had spent 20 years in private security after leaving naval special warfare. He'd operated in 17 countries across 4 continents. Guadalajara was just another city. CJNG was just another criminal organization. His team consisted of 5 other contractors, all with similar backgrounds. They'd conducted 3 reconnaissance passes through Zapopan district and identified what appeared to be a safe house connected to their target. A mid-level property with irregular traffic patterns and multiple vehicles rotating through daily. "We move at 0200, Holt briefed his team. "Soft entry, secure any occupants, gather intelligence on Salazar's location. Photographic evidence of the operation gets sent directly to our target with a simple message: return the money, or we start dismantling infrastructure." Nobody questioned the plan. They'd executed dozens of similar operations. What they didn't know was that the safe house had been deliberately exposed. CJNG's intelligence network had identified the contractor's surveillance within hours and adjusted accordingly. The property was real, a legitimate stash house, but it was also bait. At 2:17 a.m., Holt's team breached the front and rear entrances simultaneously. 3 young men inside, lookouts in their early 20s, surrendered immediately, overwhelmed by the tactical efficiency. They were zip-tied and photographed within minutes. Holt used one of their phones to record a message. "Salazar, you took $500,000 from the wrong family. Return it within 24 hours, or we continue burning your operations. This is a professional courtesy. Don't waste it." He sent the video and ordered his team to move to their extraction vehicles parked 2 blocks away. They walked directly into the trap that had been prepared the moment they entered the house. Cartel spotters positioned in 3 buildings surrounding the block had radioed positions continuously. 2 vehicles, unmarked SUVs with reinforced panels, moved into blocking positions at the intersection ahead. No flashing lights, no sirens, just cold, calculated positioning. Holt recognized the setup instantly. "Contact front! Break left!" The firefight erupted with overwhelming violence and ended in less than 90 seconds. Cartel enforcers fired with the disciplined accuracy of trained soldiers, not street criminals. 4 of Holt's team went down in the initial exchange. Holt and 1 other contractor were surrounded before they could establish defensive positions. "Drop weapons! Now!" They complied. Resistance meant immediate death. Their phones, weapons, and equipment were confiscated efficiently. Within 4 minutes of the first shot, both survivors were secured in separate vehicles, already moving toward the city's outskirts. The message Holt had sent was never going to receive a response. The response was already happening. The industrial site sat 30 minutes outside Guadalajara's core, surrounded by empty lots and abandoned construction projects. At 3:40 a.m., the facility was dark except for a single bay illuminated by portable work lights. Derek Holt was forced from the vehicle with his hands zip-tied behind his back. His surviving teammate, a former ranger named Marcus, was pulled from the second vehicle. Both men were positioned on their knees in the center of the lit area. Rodrigo Salazar stood near the entrance, speaking quietly with 3 other men. One held a professional video camera, the kind used for documentation rather than surveillance. Another adjusted a tripod. This wasn't an interrogation. Holt recognized that immediately. His CRE training had prepared him for questioning, for psychological pressure, for negotiation tactics. But nobody was asking questions. Rodrigo approached and crouched in front of Holt, meeting his eyes at level. "You came to my territory. You brought weapons. You attacked my people. You thought money and American training made you untouchable." Holt said nothing. Anything he said now was irrelevant. Your employer made a critical mistake. He believed this was a business transaction that could be corrected with violence. He was wrong. This is about respect, about understanding boundaries. Rodrigo stood and stepped aside. The camera operator moved into position, red recording light activating. Rodrigo addressed the camera in Spanish, his tone measured and clear. He explained that outsiders who brought violence to Jalisco territory would face permanent consequences. That money could not purchase impunity. That CJNG's authority was absolute within their plaza. The execution was clinical. No theatrics, no prolonged suffering. Both men were dead within seconds. The camera continued recording for another 30 seconds before cutting. The footage was transferred immediately to an editor who added the CJNG insignia and a timestamp. Within 2 hours, the video was distributed through encrypted channels monitored by rival cartels, corrupt officials, and business partners throughout Mexico's criminal infrastructure. The message was clear. Territorial boundaries were non-negotiable. A separate, unedited copy was sent to a single email address in Colorado. The subject line read simply, "Your son is next." Mark Brennan received the email at 4:30 a.m. Mountain Time. He opened it in his home office and watched the entire 53-second video without moving. When it ended, he sat in complete silence for nearly 10 minutes before picking up his phone and calling the FBI. EEC's Special Agent Jennifer Cortez listened to Mark Brennan's statement in the FBI's Denver field office without interrupting. When he finished, she glanced at her partner before responding. "Mr. Brennan, I need to be direct with you. Your son left Mexico voluntarily after paying what amounts to a fine for public misconduct. He was released unharmed. Legally, there was no kidnapping." Mark's face reddened. "They extorted $500,000, which you paid willingly to secure his release. From a legal standpoint, that's a resolved transaction." She paused. "The contractors you hired operated without authorization on foreign soil, conducted what amounts to a military assault on Mexican nationals, and engaged in a firefight that resulted in multiple casualties. The Mexican government could pursue charges against your son as an accessory to those crimes. They murdered American citizens. They defended their territory against an armed incursion. Mr. Brennan, I understand your anger, but the situation you've created puts your son in significantly more danger than the original incident." Mark's attorney, sitting beside him, leaned forward. "What options does my client have?" Agent Cortez's expression remained professionally neutral. "Realistically? None that involve U.S. government intervention. We cannot and will not conduct operations against cartel organizations on behalf of private citizens who initiated the conflict. My recommendation is that your son remains in the United States, maintains a low profile, and hopes CJNG considers the matter resolved with the contractors' deaths." Mark stood abruptly. "This is unacceptable. I'm an American citizen. Who hired armed mercenaries to recover money from a criminal organization in a foreign country?" Agent Cortez interrupted. "I'm sorry, Mr. Brennan, but you escalated a situation that was already concluded. The consequences of that decision are now out of our jurisdiction." The meeting ended with no actionable outcomes. Mark contacted the State Department next, receiving similar responses couched in more diplomatic language. By mid-afternoon, the reality had crystallized completely. Tyler was on his own. In Phoenix, Tyler sat in his friend's apartment scrolling through news sites obsessively. The contractor deaths hadn't made mainstream American news yet, but Mexican outlets were reporting a narco execution involving foreign mercenaries. The details were vague but unmistakable. His phone buzzed with a call from his father. Tyler answered immediately. "Dad? Did the FBI? They're not helping." Mark's voice was flat, emotionless. "You need to stay exactly where you are. Don't go outside. Don't contact anyone. I'm arranging private security for the building." "Private security?" Tyler's voice cracked. "Dad, what's happening?" "Just stay put." The call ended. Tyler sat on the couch staring at his blank phone screen. He'd deleted all his social media accounts the day he left Mexico. The original live stream was gone from his profiles, but the internet never forgets. Clips had been downloaded, reposted, archived. The video of him urinating on the Escalade existed on dozens of platforms, view counts climbing daily as true crime channels discovered the story. 23,000 people had watched him make the worst decision of his life, and now that decision was coming to collect. CJNG's presence in Arizona wasn't publicized, but it was extensive. Distribution networks stretched from Nogales to Flagstaff, managed by coordinators who maintained legitimate business fronts and lived unremarkable lives in suburban neighborhoods. The organization moved product worth millions through the state weekly, facilitated by infrastructure decades in the making. When Rodrigo made the call to Phoenix, it was answered by a man named Luis, who operated an auto body shop in South Phoenix. 34 years old, married with 2 children, Luis coached his son's soccer team on weekends and attended parent-teacher conferences. His neighbors considered him quiet and hardworking. They had no idea what his actual occupation entailed. "We have a situation," Rodrigo explained in Spanish. "An American who disrespected the organization is hiding in your territory. Phoenix area. Exact location to follow." "Understood." "Timeline. 48 hours maximum. This needs to be clean and send a clear message." Luis received Tyler's photograph, current address, and vehicle description within 2 hours. The apartment building was a mid-range complex near Arizona State University's downtown campus, popular with students and young professionals. Moderate security, primarily focused on package theft prevention rather than serious threats. Luis conducted surveillance personally that evening, noting entry points, camera coverage, and traffic patterns. The operation would occur at 2 a.m. on a weeknight when the building's activity was minimal. He assembled a 3-man team, all cartel enforcers with clean records and legitimate employment. They met at the auto body shop to review the plan. "No collateral damage," Luis emphasized. "Target only. We're in and out in under 4 minutes." Nobody questioned the orders. This was standard enforcement work, no different than the dozen similar operations conducted annually throughout Arizona's cartel territories. Tyler, unaware his location had been compromised, spent his days inside the apartment watching television and checking news sites obsessively. His friend had returned to California, leaving Tyler alone in the 2-bedroom unit. Private security, his father promised, consisted of a single armed guard in the lobby, someone who checked IDs but had no tactical training. Tyler believed distance equaled safety. That American soil meant protection. He was wrong about both. At 1:57 a.m., the building's security camera system experienced a brief technical malfunction. The guard in the lobby noticed nothing unusual, just a momentary flicker before feeds restored. 3 minutes was enough. Luis and his team entered through the parking garage using a cloned access card, moved through the stairwell to the 3rd floor, and approached Tyler's apartment door. The lock was defeated in under 15 seconds. Tyler woke to a hand over his mouth and a flashlight in his eyes. "Don't make noise," Luis said quietly. "Get dressed. You're coming with us." The warehouse near South Mountain served multiple purposes for CJNG's Arizona operations: legitimate freight logistics during business hours, product distribution in the evenings, and occasionally enforcement actions when necessary. The building's isolated location and soundproof interior made it ideal for situations requiring discretion. Tyler sat in a metal folding chair, hands zip-tied in front of him, shaking uncontrollably. Luis sat across from him on a similar chair, his posture relaxed and casual. Two other men stood near the entrance, silent observers. "Do you understand why you're here?" Luis asked in perfect English. Tyler's voice was barely audible. "The video. The car. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was stupid. I'll do anything. Your father hired men to attack Señor Salazar's people. 6 contractors. 4 died in Guadalajara. 2 were executed. I didn't know. I told him not to. It doesn't matter what you told him. He made a decision that created debt. That debt transfers to you." Tyler started crying openly. "Please, I have money. My dad has money. Whatever you want." Luis shook his head slowly. "This isn't about money anymore. Your father already paid $500,000. Then he tried to buy revenge with more money. He doesn't understand that some things can't be purchased. Then what do you want? Closure. A clear message that disrespect has permanent consequences." Luis stood and retrieved a phone from his pocket, opening the camera app. He positioned the phone on a small tripod facing Tyler. "You're going to read a statement. An apology to Señor Salazar, to CJNG, and to the people of Guadalajara. You'll explain that you disrespected their territory out of arrogance, and that your father's actions compounded that disrespect. You'll take full responsibility. And then you'll let me go?" Luis didn't answer the question. Tyler read the statement in a shaking voice, tears streaming continuously. He apologized for the prank, for his arrogance, for his father's retaliation. He admitted he'd treated Mexico with contempt and people with disrespect. The recording lasted 97 seconds. When Tyler finished, Luis turned off the camera. "Thank you for cooperating." What happened next was quick and clinical. Tyler barely had time to understand before it was over. The 2 men near the entrance moved his body to a vehicle, while Luis reviewed the video footage, confirming quality. The execution video would never appear on public platforms. It didn't need to. Its audience was specific: cartel leadership, rival organizations, and business partners who needed to understand CJNG's reach extended beyond Mexican borders. The message was absolute. Disrespect would be punished regardless of nationality, wealth, or geography. Turkeys. Tyler Brennan's body was discovered by hikers in the desert outside Tucson, 72 hours after his disappearance from the Phoenix apartment. Pima County Sheriff's Department responded to the scene, noting evidence consistent with execution-style homicide. The FBI opened a file connecting it to the Guadalajara contractor incident, but no arrests were made. Investigative resources were allocated to higher priority cases. Tyler's death was classified as cartel-related violence. Tragic, but ultimately predictable given the circumstances. Mark Brennan received notification from law enforcement on a Thursday afternoon. He made no public statements. The funeral was private, attended by fewer than 30 people. Obituaries mentioned Tyler's entrepreneurial spirit and passion for content creation, without referencing the circumstances of his death. Mark quietly divested from all Mexican business ventures over the following 6 months. He never contacted law enforcement about cartel matters again. The $500,000 was never recovered. The $1.2 million paid to Titan Security Solutions was considered a total loss. In interviews with FBI agents, Mark claimed ignorance about why his son might have been targeted. He never mentioned the prank video or the ransom payment. Legally, cooperation would have exposed him to potential charges related to the contractor operation. Silence was safer. Rodrigo Salazar returned to his daily operations managing logistics routes through Jalisco, Colima, and Michoacán. The incident was referenced in internal cartel meetings as an example of proper enforcement protocols, measured escalation, clear messaging, and decisive action when boundaries were violated. Within 18 months, Rodrigo received a promotion to regional coordinator overseeing expanded territory. His reputation was enhanced by the handling of the situation. He'd demonstrated intelligence-gathering capabilities, tactical patience, and the organizational reach to enforce consequences across international borders. He never spoke about Tyler Brennan publicly. The matter was concluded. Tyler's social media accounts remained deleted, but his digital footprint was permanent. The original prank livestream had been downloaded and archived across multiple platforms. True crime channels produced video essays analyzing the fatal decision. Reddit threads dissected every element of the story. The view count exceeded 2 million within a year. Tyler Brennan became a cautionary tale, a permanent warning about the consequences of arrogance and the brutal reality that some people operate under rules where wealth and nationality provide no protection. In the criminal underworld, there are no appeals, no second chances, only immediate violent calculus. Tyler learned that lesson in a Phoenix apartment at 2 a.m. His father learned it watching an execution video in Colorado. Both discoveries came too late to matter. The desert outside Tucson holds the final proof. Some mistakes are permanent, and some people don't forgive.